This is Tom Pelissero, and you're listening to the 3-Point Conversion.
What up? It's your man, Mr. Controversy. Did you miss me? Yo, it's Friday, Radio Row, and I'm not even that tired. Super Bowl 59, New Orleans, and we have a special guest for you all, man. Former NFL center, and the reason why he's a special guest, because he played at the crib. He played for the Bears as well. So my guy, Seattle and Tennessee as well, but Chicago. Chris Spencer, what up, bro?
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Good, man. It's been a long week, but it's been good, man. How you enjoying Radio Row?
It's good, man. This is my first time here.
Okay.
To be honest with you, my playing career, I never came and done any of this. And now that I've started my own businesses and podcasts and things like that, I had to come check it out.
Right.
Walking around, I'm like, man, this is nuts.
Yeah,
They tell me, hey, they shrunk this thing, man. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it used to be crazy. It's bigger than this, and it's probably gonna get thick in like next hour or so, man. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But talk about your business. What you got going?
Yeah, man. So I started a technology company called Team Q, and what we do is we take language to analyze, help people understand athletes, who they are, the human inside of them. And so when a player goes on and take a Likert scale assessment, there's a lot of bias in that. And so what we've done is created a way where we can take their press conferences, or we can do a live interview using our AI, Coach Carter, that we can analyze their language and then say, here's about 70, 80 data points on you, from personality behaviors to stress tolerance, anxiety, and then it helps the teams kind of formulate the right support around a particular athlete. And then we've kind of moved into the high school model. We started out on the pro side of things. Now we're in the high school model where our young kids now can start understanding why these intangibles are important now, so they don't wait till they get to that transition and have a struggle trying to figure out who they are. And so now our kids that are 14 and older can start taking these assessments that, again, meeting them where they are from a technology standpoint, and giving them an interview, and they can then that interview analyze that language and then say, here's where you are: coachability, character, leadership, composure. And that tool that we're using there is called Player Q for player intelligence.
How do you think that would have helped you out coming out, as a kid, starting out?
Man, big time, because, I just had a conversation not too long ago with Verizon, and we were talking about, that transition. And the thing that I struggle with in that transition is trying to figure out, how do I fit into a new space? Right. How do I take my tools that I learned in sports and transition that to, outside of the game? And my biggest thing is I was diagnosed with dyslexia, and so I never wanted anybody to know that. Right. And so having a tool like this for me would have given me that self-confidence of, like, early on start realizing, I do have a good skill set. Oh, my skill set is transferable. Right. I am coachable. I am good at leading teams. And so having that data to be able to reinforce that for me would have been tremendous. It would have taken my anxiety level way down. And this need to hide from people, it would have been, tremendous for me.
What's up, man? So playing the center position, I've always wondered, because to me, I always thought that I would think that was the hardest position to play, because you got to, make sure if he's right behind you, even still, hike the ball, then you got to get your hands up real quick. So you definitely have to be quick, right, with your hands. Yeah. And see, we don't talk about how athletic centers are. Hey, but man, I feel like y'all have to be.
You have to be. Look at Kelsey, man. This guy, all the pulling and things he was doing, that offense ran through him. And, and center has gotten more and more athletic, since I came out. And I thought I was pretty athletic as a guy who was, 315 pounds, running a 4.9, squatting 700 pounds. I was an athletic guy. And now you see these guys now, they're even more athletic and mobile, mobility-wise. And so it is a very difficult position to play when you talk about snapping the ball, being able to keep, the rest of the guys on the same page, the checks, looking at the safeties. And I played in a Mike Holmgren.
Yeah, because y'all doing this, right? Yeah, Mike. Right.
I played in a Mike Holmgren system with Matt Hasselbeck, and a lot of the responsibility was on the center as well as the quarterback. And so we coming up and we saying, where's the mic point? Getting the mic pointed out. Now, where's the safeties? What's the rotation? What's happening? And then also being able to get your eyes around so you can see, hey, it's third down. Where's the stance of the defensive tackles? Are they going to do some stunts, some twists? And so very intentional intimidating position, especially at the league level
Yeah.
once you get there. But once you kind of settle in, it becomes a thing, man.
So when you identify the mic, how do you identify the mic? Like what?
The middle of the three.
The middle of the three. So
Yeah.
you just all it is just you just doing the middle of the three.
You find the middle of the three. Now that changes, so that's one of the things
Right.
early on in my career I had to learn. When you got a 2-man box, okay, how do you then identify the middle of the three? Where do you figure out where's your strength? Finding that strength. So you find that nickel guy, that guy who's pressed up on that, a Travis Kelce or whoever that may be in that slot, and now he becomes a smaller guy, but he's now that first linebacker, and then you get into the middle. And so you kind of have to see all those. You got to know these numbers and who's interchangeable. And so when they get into dime, and you got to know now you got 3 guys in there that small guys.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So it's a lot of studying.
Was it defensive tackle? I mean, because I know you're in the NFL, so you're in the league, so everybody's good. But was it a defensive tackle or nose tackle that it was like, man, I hate playing against this dude?
Man, Jamal Williams. Man, I'm talking about a guy that just was strong.
Right.
You just every you look at the film, you see him just like, this guy's not aging. You feel like he's just getting stronger and stronger every year, And I was a young guy too, and had to play nose guard for the Chargers. Man, he made you work.
Yeah, I remember Big Jamal Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. And the guy that I always think about is a Chicago guy. When I was in Seattle, Tommy Harris. Before he hurt his
Harris,
knee.
he was a beast.
Man, one of the fastest steps off the ball that you've ever seen, man. And I just fear not like to see him.
I don't think – I remember Tommy, man, he used to – I had seen him at a goal line. I remember they was playing against the Chargers at one time. They was at the goal line, 1-yard line. And he guessed the snap count. He just leaped over and, bro, it was crazy. Because you don't see defensive tackles do that.
No.
You might see Palomalu or but not a defensive tackle.
So athletic, man. So fast twitch. That guy was special, man. I hated to see him hurt that knee and have multiple surgeries on it because he would. I'm
trying to think. Nice. Did we go? When I say we, the Bears. Okay, 2011 and 12. Did we play Seattle in Seattle?
No, we actually played Seattle in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask because, or even with Tennessee, did you ever have to go back to Seattle?
Went back once.
So, being there as the home team, and you're like, all right, crowd is crazy. When they on it, y'all laughing out, they about to jump. But then when you on the other side of it, did you notice it?
Oh yeah, man, yeah. When you're in Seattle and that place is going crazy, you just amazed. I remember one year we played the Giants and they had 12 false starts in one game.
Right.
And then I always said, man, I don't ever want to have to come back here on the other side and play here.
I remember that game.
And then coming back to the stadium, and I'm just like, guys, I'm trying to help these guys get prepared, telling them there's nothing we can do, crowd noise, to get you prepared for what you're going to see here in Seattle. And sure enough, man, that place got to rocking and just like, oh.
And it's that loud?
It's loud, bro. It's loud.
Yeah, because that Giants game, bro, I'm like, I know y'all had to be laughing.
Oh, dude, we were sitting over here just like, oh, another one.
It was like 12. It was back-to-back, and Coughlin was turning red, and he was turning red as his skittle bag. He was turning red. Throwing his, bro, I would never forget that. I would never forget that.
And then I was also part of the BeastQuake. So I was blocking for Marshawn Lynch that year.
Ooh, yeah.
And when he dove into the end zone and that place erupted, like you were on the field and you truly felt like the ground was shaking.
Right.
So when they talk about this thing, shut up on the Richter scale,
it's crazy.
You felt the ground shaking when that place erupted.
That's what I heard, man. That was a great segue because we put the Skittles up, then you talked about Marshawn, so that was dope right there. So speaking of Marshawn and blocking for running backs, you the center, and I'm just what I know. I don't know about what y'all do. I don't know all of that, but I know as far as you center, you hike the ball, you might help right here, help right there. But when it's a block, I know you might engage, and I don't know if that's you or the guard. Then you keep going. Yeah. So when you were blocking for him, did you know, like, all right, he's getting to the second level, I know, so I got to be ready?
You know what's funny is that even when you pull up that play and look at it, we were running a power, and I'm blocking back, and I had a nose guard on my left shoulder, and the play was going to the left side, and there was a 3 technique. So I went to block back, and the nose kind of came across my face, and I'm like, what are they doing here? So when he came and this guy came across, I was thinking like, this play may be dead in the water. And all of a sudden, I kind of just threw the nose on across by me, and I kind of peeked and saw Marshawn, and I was like, Marshawn's about to do Marshawn things. I said, Marshawn's doing Marshawn things, and then I turned and I started to run, and you see me, and I look, and I think it was the safety coming down sharper, and I said, if I can just get a piece of him.
Yeah, you kind of.
If I just get a piece of him, Marshawn's he's gonna skirt out and do a little bit more.
Right.
And I got a piece of him, and he skirted right off of me, got a little bit more, and I was like, it's about to get ugly. And I hate to bring this up because we're in New Orleans right now because that's who was playing the Saints.
Right. I remember that. It was cool because then after that, y'all came to us and we like.
You did.
We beat y'all.
Yes, you did.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we came to Chicago, and I remember that was cold as all get out, man.
Is that the game we beat the brakes out of y'all, or was that the game that was close?
No, you guys, I think you beat the brakes off.
Yeah, we beat the brakes out of yeah.
We had 2 guys that just get completely knocked out. A tight end get knocked out. We was already down a tight end. Mm-hmm. Then when I starting corner get knocked out and just so that wasn't a pretty game for us.
Because the 2006 game, I was just watching that. That was close.
Yeah, that was close.
It's funny. I go back, man. I watch games, whatever, and it came up on my phone. I'm watching it, and I'm looking like, I know we won this game, but y'all, it was like we couldn't put y'all away. So I'm kind of worried watching the replay, like. Yeah.
And that was coming off of 2005. That was coming off the Super Bowl year.
Yeah, right.
That we had, and then,
right.
And for some reason we were always playing Chicago.
Yeah, always in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's why it was cool when I ended up in Chicago because, Urlacher and Briggs, I was always playing against those guys, and they were always coming up in the A gap.
Right.
Trying to trick me into taking one so they can send the other, and so then coming there and being in the locker room and having those guys and listening to how they kind of operate, and then to see them doing it on the field again and seeing them doing it on the field, it's like, okay, I can see why I can see why they're so good.
Before I moved over there, I want to know, you got to give me I just had his name. The coach.
Lovie Smith.
No, Seattle.
Mike Holmgren.
Mike, no, did you play? But you didn't play for Pete Carroll.
I did. I had him for a year. So I had Mike Holmgren for 4 years. Then we had Jim Moore Jr. for a year.
Right.
And then Pete Carroll came in my last year.
So the last year with Pete Carroll, do you have a Pete Carroll story?
Let me think.
Or if not, how was he like?
Pete was like, Pete was one of those guys that, he was coming in from college in that rah-rah, and as a 6-year vet at the time, I'm thinking like, man, I don't know if I can get down with all this rah-rah. And we would have signs on the wall when you walk out. You had to called tap in. So when you were walking on the field, you had to tap in.
Right.
And I remember I was one of the leaders on the team, and I took my job very serious. And I was the first one in, I'm the last one out, and I'm the first one in all the drills. And I'm sitting there thinking like, man, I got my ass out of bed at 5 o'clock this morning, and now I got to tap a sign to tell somebody else that I'm in this thing. Like, no, this is my job.
Oh, that's what he had?
And it was like when you walk out on the field, you had to tap in. And then you had the coach that was going to sit there and watch you and make sure you tapped in. And if you didn't tap in, you was going to get reported back to him. I said, here we go with this college stuff.
That's some BS right there.
But as we kind of got into it, you start to see what Pete was doing. He was changing the psychology of the team. And he was and I didn't see it early on until you kind of have to take a step back and watch it, and you just be disgruntled early on.
Right.
I was one of those disgruntled guys who's like, man, I'm not doing this college thing.
Right.
But when you start to watch what he was building and the psychological transition that he was trying to make to bring in that competitive nature, and like you always competing, you never not competing. Yeah. And it's not just you're doing this thing, right? But it's also now psychological that you're competing in your head, and you're competing against people, and it's because it can become a job. It's monotonous, man. It's like day in and day out. Right. And so he had a way about himself of like changing the psychology of people, and I grown to respect him over time. We butted heads a couple times, but grown to respect, his mindset and framework and how he built that team.
Do you know how many? I guess, barrels of chewing gum he had? 'Cause that joker.
Oh man, he
Boy, the more the game got close, and he started walking fast. You know. When y'all start winning, that's when you know. Oh yeah, they winning.
You should see him in practice, man. Somebody was always reloading him with gum. He'd go through that gum.
Chew that gum hard. So then you make the transition to Chicago. You go from him, you go from Pete Carroll, then you go to Lovie Smith. How was that? Because Lovie seemed like he's just real cool. I've talked to Lovie, interviewed him, and he's just real, seems like he's real cool. How is he, practice and everything else?
Completely different guys. Pete was, high energy.
Right.
He wasn't a yeller, screamer. He was,
right.
But he was very, very passionate about what he was doing. And then Lovie was very, very passionate about what he was doing, but in a different way. And it's just like calm, cool. I'm the deacon in the church. I'm not going to curse at you. I'm not going to yell at you.
Right.
I expect a lot out of you.
Right.
They're going to look at you like like your old granddad would.
Right.
And so when you look at his style, it was very interesting how he coached. But it was one of those things you learned so much from him, and he didn't have to say much. Right. So. It's been an interesting journey for me when it came to with coaches because I've had a lot of different type of coaches, but those two and then also Mike Holmgren being in that, man, you just can't find a triangle of three different type of coaches.
That's what I'm saying, man. To play for different style coaches, does it take a while to adjust, or who was the easiest to adjust to? Well, Mike Holmgren, he was there when you got there, so you was a rookie, so you like whatever he say.
Me too.
Yeah.
So he drafted.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you like whatever he say.
Yeah.
But who was easier to adjust to, Pete, Mora, or Lovie?
Probably Lovie, because Lovie, when I got to Chicago, it was a veteran locker room. You had Urlacher, Peanut Tillman, Briggs. You had Cutler as quarterback. You had, Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
Anthony Adams, Spice Adams.
That's my guy. Was he that crazy?
Dude, man,
was he crazy in locker room like that?
The locker room was always lit. Always lit, man. Always lit. But you can do that when you have a veteran locker room, and Lovie let those guys lead. That team was truly led by those veterans, and Lovie didn't have to really do much or say much because those guys had the pulse of that team. And it was really cool to see it from that because I just come from Seattle where the team was getting younger.
Right.
And the younger guys had the leadership in the locker room over the veteran guys. And so to kind of come back into a place where now you got the veterans leading the locker room. And with that kind of I mean, that was a fun locker room.
So I have to ask you this. Why in 2012 – what happened? Why? I understand Cutler got hurt. I'm going to tell you how, I know my team. Cutler got hurt the game against Houston Sunday night. He got hurt, remember?
Yeah.
And then the next game we played Washington, and not Washington. We played 49ers on Monday night.
Yep.
And that was Cap's first game.
Yep.
And we looked like the Dolphins that time when they played the Patriots when they was doing a Wildcat, and they we didn't know what to do with Cap. But even, he was hurt. Okay, I get it. But still, why didn't that team win a go at least far in the playoffs? Because that was, remember Brandon Marshall in practice? Super Bowl. I remember he said that. I'm going to tell you what he said. He said Cutler. When I just asked him that, he was like, man, Cutler. That's what he said. But I want to know, why do you think?
So, you know what? I think that, one, there was a transition because we went from Mike Martz as the offensive coordinator to then Mike Tyson as the offensive coordinator.
Okay, that's right.
So now when you go through any transition like that, it takes a lot of chemistry to kind of really really build that, and then you go from a guy who was genius at play calling and things like that, which, again, I don't know if the O-line and things was really built or the quarterback was built for Mike Martz's offense because Mike Mart's offenses, it was like, hey,
Spread.
hey, if they're blitzing, you got to let them come. It's quarterback's job. And
yeah.
if you got a quarterback that's going to hold the ball, it doesn't work.
Right.
That's why it worked with Kurt Warner.
Right.
Because Kurt Warner knew where his outlets were, how to get the ball out of his hands quickly and things like that. And not that Jay didn't know, but Jay had a big arm.
Right.
And Jay loved his arm, and he was going to rely on that arm. And so he wanted to get the big home run play. And then you have that mindset, and then you change into a Mike Tice led offense. That same mentality kind of carried over.
Yeah, I don't know why, bro. When we heard they were switching to Mike Tice, I think I broke a window at the house, man. What are we doing?
Hey, don't get me wrong. He was good. He was a good O-line coach.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Really and I understand you can do that, but at the same time, what? But anyway, go ahead. So you saying when you switch to that, the mindset was different? Yeah,
it was when you switch over to that, but then also the same mindset from your quarterback kind of carries over into that. It made it challenging, and then that guy gets hurt, and then it makes it hard for those backup guys to make that transition to do it in this systematic way that he wanted to have it done. You know, and so because you kind of get to a place where you're trying to cater to a guy because of his skill set, and then that person offense is not really right for you, right. You know, so it's all about fit. I mean, that's why we do what we do over at Team Q. It's about fit. Where do you fit the best at? What's your best personality? And we talk about that on our podcast, and we have a podcast called Intangible Podcast, and that's the same thing. It's what are these intangibles that makes you who you are, and it's important for these coaches to really understand who these guys are, so they can then tailor it the right way. If you don't understand it, you can't. It's hard to get it out of a guy, and then you say, "Oh, this guy didn't work. Why did this? What's the quarterback in Minnesota
right now? You're talking about Darnold,
Sam Darnold. He's going all around. Why did he now all of a sudden he's in a place where he can play ball?
Yeah.
It just kind of came out the blue. It don't come out the blue. It's finding that right place for you, that right person that understands who you are and how to pull out those pieces. And so, so that's where I think the game has to, from that side of it has to get to. Right. Is that we have more focus on that than just what my offense is. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Ben Johnson does.
Yeah, right. And see, I think that was the thing with Waldron when he came to Chicago as offensive coordinator, because he wanted to. This is, all right, I'm gonna do this and do that. This is what I want to do. And it's like, nah, bro. Like, look at what your quarterback is. That's why. And Jaden is that dude. Jaden is great, but that's why Jaden was so successful, especially early, because Kingsbury was like, all right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. What you like to do. What you want to run. All right, cool. We got you here, whatever. He got comfortable, and it worked.
Hey, it's all about fit. It's all about fit and having the right guy that fits you. And so, it's so important for these guys to start to really focus on that, because if they don't, you end up burning a high draft pick.
So, being a center, I know how it is for tackle. I even asked the guard about this. So when you have a mobile quarterback, you didn't play with a mobile quarterback, did you? I mean, Cutler was there, and Hasselbeck.
No, Hasselbeck's not running.
Yeah, Cutler would move around sometimes, but not like that.
No,
but
not a true mobile quarterback like what you see today.
How do you think you would fare if you had to play with a mobile quarterback? Because my thing is, you don't know where he is, but the fact that you're blocking, and next thing you know, he takes off. You don't know. You see the DN or the nose tackle or the tackle, whatever, he starts going this way. You still got a hold on him, and now they calling a hold because you don't see your.
So my thing would have been, I think my game would have transitioned well to that because I was a tight blocker. I was on him. Mm-hmm. I stayed close no matter what.
Right.
Because again, I blocked for a guy like Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Blocked for Matt Forte.
Right.
I blocked for Sean Alexander.
Ooh.
So like. I blocked for some backs that you didn't know what they was going to do and when they was going to do it, and so my game, same thing, with a running quarterback. So,
all right, last question I got to ask. We've asked all current players, former players, analysts. What is the most conditioned position in the NFL? And I'm not talking about because of how they fit or because they can run. No, I'm talking about in the game, who's the most conditioned position? Or what is the most conditioned position in the NFL?
I probably would have to say defensive backs because those guys are in a back pedal. Mm-hmm. They got to turn and run, flip their hips and run, and they're chasing receivers all up and down the field. Those receivers are rotating in and out when they're running routes. Those guys are still lining back up, and they got to take these guys across the field. They got to come back short routes, and they got to come back, and now they got a deep ball. And so I think those guys would have to be the most fit because it's challenging too because they can't touch them a lot either. They can't slow these guys down like they used to. And so to be just on a dead sprint all the time, I mean, yeah, you better be real fit.
Well, all right, man. There you have it. My guy, Chris Spencer. Check out his podcast and
the Intangible Podcast.
Intangible Podcast and your business as well.
And Team Q, and for our high school kids, parents that want to get their kids to understand their intangibles, go to playerq.io, and you guys can purchase it from there.
All right, man. We out. It's been a pleasure.
All right.